I associated a lot of bad things with not sleeping, and so my brain was every night thinking, okay, if you don't sleep tonight, you will get cancer, you will get an aneurysma, you will get a heart attack. Slowly trying to make myself understand that I'm safe. Okay, I might not sleep tonight, but I'm not gonna die. It's fine. You don't have to worry that I'm gonna die, brain. Response to those bad nights matter a lot, because what kept me in the struggle for a long time, or what kept the struggle the worst, was me beating myself up the next day and thinking, this is terrible, this is the worst experience of my life, terrible, how can I survive, how can I sleep? Once I changed from that to, okay, I had a bad night, it's not terrible, I'm gonna survive, it's not a big deal, things dramatically changed. Like the way, because then I could still have a good day and not think about sleep 24 the next 16 hours, right?
Yeah.
But at the moment, yeah, I'm in a much better place. I understand I understand what causes the emotions much better in my body. I understand what leads to these feelings of fear, and I know much better not to engage with them, not to let those feelings or not those emotions lead to anxiety. Even if they do, okay, fine. I understand where is this coming from, and it doesn't matter that just because I had a fearful thought doesn't mean that it will materialize, right? Because most of the time it's just the brain catastrophizing. It doesn't mean much.
Hi, community. So good to be with you today. We are back with another very special episode of Talking Insomnia. And today we have Tiago with us. Welcome, Tiago. We're so grateful that you joined us and that you're willing to share your story with us.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. And just some background for our community. Tiago actually went through our immunity program, did some BedTyme app work as well with our BedTyme app, and now is training to be a sleep coach himself. So talk about full circle, right? This is so amazing, and it just, yeah, so helpful for the community to hear these stories. So without further ado, let's just jump right in, and you can start telling us your story. How did insomnia begin for you? Just walk us through it.
Yeah. So I started it was not so long ago that I had the longest bout of insomnia that I've had so far. So it was just straight out of last Christmas, then the New Year's Eve. I went with my wife towards to South America, and yeah, I mean, of course, that comes with some jet lag. Then coming back, more jet lag. At the same time, I had quite a lot of pressure in my life. I have quite a stressful job. I manage a team of 20 people, and also had some personal issues at home. And once I was coming back, I was staying over with my parents for a while, because I'm from Portugal and I live in Germany. So coming back from South America, I did a stop there, and I had a fight with my parents. And that night I didn't sleep, and that was okay. I mean, that was fine. That was normal. I've had poor nights my whole life, not so frequently, but maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks. It was normal to have a poor night, so I didn't think much about it. I went to the pharmacy, bought myself some valerian root, which it was my go-to supplement to sleep better the next night. The problem was that I didn't sleep again, and that really threw me off in a panic, because that never had happened to me, that I had 2 bad nights in a row. So then I was full on in the inspector mode, like how can I fix this? So I went through the rabbit hole that most people go through, right? So I mean, I even think I mean, I have to have a bit of empathy for myself back then, but I even think a bit ridiculous, all the things that I've done. I mean, all this, more and more supplements, right? So I mean, valerian root didn't work, so then there was the CBT oil, then there was the antihistamines, then there was the, I don't know, melatonin. Then I had a whole full routine before going to bed. I mean, this of course developed every night that was going wrong, that this routine and all of these sleep efforts develop, right? There are all the kinds of teas. Then I was doing yoga before bed, the meditation, the tapping. I'm not sure if people also do these things, but yeah, the breath work. I mean, I had a whole set of schemes before going to bed. So I was trying to control as max as possible this whole process of going to bed. I mean, the temperature had to be correct. I have a sensor for temperature and humidity that all had to be like perfect, aligned. The noise outside, the light, the sleep mask, the ear plugs. I always was wearing ear mask and the earplugs and the sleep mask for years, and I haven't wear it. I haven't done that since weeks now, or since I recovered. I haven't touched my sleep mask and the earplugs. So I think my insomnia was building up for a long time. Also, because the past years I was controlling my time to go to sleep, and I was, for example, if anyone would invite me to go somewhere past 10 p.m., forget it, I'm not going. I need to sleep. If I somehow my wife would come home later, I would be pissed at her, like, what are you doing? Like, you're messing with my sleep, this and that. I was the insomnia was building up, was really being done. And then, I mean, this whole time of confusion and sleep efforts, this lasted weeks or a couple of months. In between, I also I met a friend of a friend who's a neurologist, and he brought me some Zolpidem or Ambien in some other countries from the hospital. He gave me a pack of 10 pills, and he told me, take only 2, because if you take more than 2, you're gonna get addicted. And then, of course, that already set me up for failure, right? So
sure, hyperarousal.
I mean, I took the first pill, and that night it felt like it was the best day of my life. I woke up after having slept 8 hours, which was something that haven't happened for months or for
Right.
weeks. And I felt like, my God, that I discovered the cure for insomnia. It's just this Zolpidem is going to be awesome. Of course, it didn't work again. Took it again, of course, with that thought, this is the last time I can take it, otherwise I get addicted.
Right.
That night I took it, it didn't work. I just stayed in bed, not sleeping, which just added to the panic. And then I still tried it again. I did it one day, do the next day, did it here, didn't do that. It just added so much. Having the pills at home just added so much confusion, so much stress to my life. And it came to the point where I was down maybe 6 pills after a week or two. Then I did what at that moment felt the bravest thing I ever did in my life, which is to throw them down the toilet.
I remember this. I do remember that.
Yeah, I said that in the immunity program. I really felt it in my body, like, what am I doing here? Because I had nothing to hold on to that day. If I don't have the pills, how am I going to sleep? That's what my thought process. I have nothing to hold on to. But I mean, of course, in hindsight, I think I did what was necessary for me to move on. You don't need to of course, that's what we teach here. You don't need to get rid of the pills immediately. You don't need to go cold turkey to recover. Also, I'm not a doctor. I'm not advising anyone to do the same. For me, I felt it was what I needed because it was not working. So why did I have the pills? It was just adding to my confusion. I really need to feel that.
And we might pause here just for a second and just say, when we have intense hyperarousal and it is so high, it can override the effect of any med or anything else we throw at it. So that is worth noting. So, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, most nights I took the pill, I would wake up 4 hours later with panic. So it would just doze me off or would sedate me for 4 hours, which I guess it's the half-life of the pill. And then after I would wake up like sweating.
In total hyperarousal panic mode. Yeah.
It was terrible. So
been there.
Of course, I didn't go back to sleeping and being in peace and quiet after putting them down the drain. But it set me off towards a path where I was relying on myself to get through this.
Right.
I think a couple of months after starting the insomnia, I contacted for the first time. I started researching other methods. How could I get rid of this? And the first thing I did was to work with a CBT-I coach, which I think many people also do. She was very nice, very friendly. Nothing against her. But the whole thing for me is ridiculous that you have to track down. She gave me an Excel, and I have to put down at what time I fell asleep and at what time I woke up, and then to track the sleep efficiency. Like, in which world do people sleep better doing this? It's important. I mean, after a week of doing that, which of course the whole numbers were terrible. I mean, I was sleeping 2-3 hours a night. What I thought was 2-3 hours a night, of course, could have been more. You never know. But back then, that's what I thought, consciously, that what was happening. And then I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to continue doing this. Also, at the same time, after 1 week of doing this Excel, I discovered the sleep coach school, which was, of course, a godsend. And after that, I started sleeping well. I had these 2-3 weeks of perfect sleep, and I thought I was done. I
think
dropped
it
the
was that
coach.
honeymoon
Yeah.
period when you first find out about what's happening and demystifies, because that's pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah, I also, and now that I'm doing the sleep coaching, I hear that from several people as well, that
Yeah.
once they discover the content, they get a bit like, okay, I understand it. Okay, they start releasing some pressure. Okay, just this
Exactly.
education gives some it really removes a lot of the anxiety. But of course, I hadn't yet dealt with all the issues that I had to yet, or I hadn't dealt with yet with the thinking patterns that led me to this point. I had just forgotten about the topic because I was a bit given hope that there's a cure. That I saw of course, the insomnia recovery videos. I knew that you can recover from this. Many people are telling their story that sound exactly like mine. So I knew eventually I will get there. It's just a matter of time. But that gave me some 2-3 weeks of great sleep, which was a godsend. Yeah, I mean, I had already discovered, besides the CBT-I, 2 other schools similar to the sleep coach school that we have here. One, I think many people might have already come across from a guy called Guy Meadows, which is called the Coach School from the UK. That was also very interesting because it taught me for the first time these ACT principles. That was interesting, although it didn't fully help me because it was too theoretical. There was no support group, and I think also some of my worst nights were the nights where I was doing what I was told in that methodology, or that book, or the coachings there, which was to, once you go to bed and you feel bad, just breathe it out or do meditation. Like, if I was feeling bad and I was still gonna do meditation thinking I'm gonna get better, I just did it the whole night basically. Then I didn't sleep at all because I was just like anxious and trying to meditate to get rid of my anxiety, which of course doesn't work. The intention you put behind meditation, yoga, and breath work and all these things, of course they help you to regulate your system. But if you're doing it with, I have to do it to fall asleep, you will not fall asleep, right? And then you don't fall asleep, then you get frustrated, and then you get frustrated, and then you get even more frustrated, and it just creates this whole cycle of hyperarousal, which gave me some of my worst nights. And the same can be said also from another one. I also read these very famous books from Sasha Stevens, which I think I also enjoyed reading them. I learned a few things, but then I think those books, they're lacking a lot of what I thought lack a lot self empathy, because they're a lot about forget about sleep. Don't talk anymore about insomnia. Don't associate yourself with an insomniac. It just felt like being put on a cage. Now, okay, you get into this point, and now hold on because it's going to get better. And a lot of kind of toxic positivity. Again, after reading these books, I had sleepless nights, which just told me, okay, go back to the sleep coach school, stick to this. This works for you. Because I think what really matters here, what for me that works really well, is just as I said, the self-kindness that comes with the program, which was what I was missing through my whole life. Maybe that I was really judging myself quite harshly. And that also led me through to insomnia, because I was also during the whole process, thinking less of myself for having insomnia, and thinking that I have to recover in a certain amount of time. Like, this other person said they recovered in 6 months, so I have to also recover in 6 months. Or like, I have mental problems because I have insomnia, or like I'm not right, or I'm not a good person because I have insomnia. Just piling up a lot of bad thoughts about myself, which the sleep coach school helps to uncover those thinking patterns that really they're not true, right? They're just creating these stories that just help you to not have patience with yourself, to not have acceptance to your current circumstances. And yeah, it was very helpful to join the sleeping. I mean, I only stayed 1 month. That was March, April. That was 3, 4 months after. I stayed 1 month with the Insomnia coaching school. It was great to finally tell my story to people who understand it, because, I mean, since the start, I was talking about sleep 24/7.
Right.
Especially during the confusion time, my wife couldn't hear me anymore. Like, she was mad at me. She like stopped talking about. She actually she had actually had the solution, because she kept telling me, "Stop thinking about sleep. Stop talking about sleep." But of course, it's very hard to do that once you're just in that confusion state.
For sure.
And finally finding that group where you can say something and people will not look at yourself like weird, or just telling you, why did you try melatonin, did you try lavender, or why don't you do this, why don't you, I mean, I don't know, I was sick of hearing those comments, right? I guess as
Oh,
everyone is.
yeah. Yeah.
And it was very helpful to join the program. Eventually I think I was good enough with it, because there were many people that were struggling much more than me during the program. And I don't think it was helping me much at that point. To hear those stories was making me a bit more anxious, because sometimes I would think, oh, what if it's me next to be so bad in that to be in that state again. But knowing what I know now, I think just the point of having education, of knowing about the gas and brake model, about knowing befriending, wakefulness, you will never unlearn those things, right? And you will never go back to the confusion state, because the confusion state comes from not knowing what's happening and not knowing where you're going with this. And
Totally.
it just takes a lot of time after learning this to get to the point where emotionally you're also okay with it, because you can learn it. I mean, you will hear that in every success story. You learn it first consciously or rationally, but then the emotional part of it would really take months to get up to speed, which was
Yep.
what happened to me. So after the coaching school, the Insomnia Immunity program, I still went to the BedTyme program, because it was nice to still have someone to chat to sometimes. But then
Sure. Yeah.
after, I think I was also good to go. I was still not sleeping well for many months. I think it took me 8 months of, I mean, who knows if I have a bad sleep tonight. I don't, at the moment, I don't care. That's why I would say I don't have insomnia anymore. But the time that I was struggling and I was not okay with struggling took about 8 months, let's say. Yeah. And yeah, it was, I can say it was some of the worst times of my life, not because I was sleeping bad, but because I was really anxious, and I was uh, like completely obsessed with the topic of sleep. I couldn't think of anything else. I couldn't talk about anything else. I think that was the bad thing about it. I was so lost. I had no hope.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. Knowing what I know now, the sleep was really the least of it. The problem was really being obsessed with the topic.
Gosh, well said. Yeah. I found the
Yeah,
same to be true. And that emotional attachment is so intense that it creates
yeah,
so much suffering, right? Like you said before, it's like that part of our brain, our emotional brain, that amygdala, our most instinctive part of our brain, it doesn't understand that logic or reason. So it's going to
yeah,
take our actions showing it, right? And really feeling it emotionally
yeah,
that we're okay, right? And there's some lag time between
yeah,
the understanding cognitively and getting it into that amygdala. It takes real time,
yeah,
to rewire that part of our brain. It actually is a new neural pathway that we're creating.
yeah. Yeah, actually, it was some of the learnings that I take from now to my whole life that came from this was to really understand how the brain works, because
Yes.
a lot of what caused this was actually the normal functioning of a brain, that it's always scanning for threats, right?
Threat.
It's either
Yep.
worrying, it's ruminating, it's like what's gonna threaten your existence now. And the fact that I thought that not sleeping was bad for me, that not sleeping was gonna kill me, or not sleeping was gonna give me cancer, gonna give me, I don't know, an
Yeah.
aneurysma. That's what I thought, without having education, without knowing that people can go with insomnia for decades, nothing happening to them. I associated a lot of bad things with not sleeping, and so my brain was every night thinking, okay, if you don't sleep tonight, you will get cancer, you will get an aneurysma, you will get a heart attack, or I don't know, all the kinds of things that people say in podcasts and I don't know, articles. I was also big into listening these wellness podcasts such as the Huberman Lab, that everyone also,
Oh
at least in
gosh.
my
Yeah.
let's say, people like me like to listen to a lot. But there's all these obsessive things about the lightning, about if you don't sleep, this also this very famous book from I forgot the name of
Matthew
also this
Walker.
exactly. I also read this book, and you also listen to the interviews in the Huberman Lab. It's really like catastrophic. If you don't sleep, it's like
Oh yeah.
it's over. It's over for you.
The
And it's, of
fear.
course, it's not. Yeah. And I had all of that built into my head, and my brain was just scanning for everything. Like, of course, I'm not gonna sleep if my brain is worrying about that so much, right? Then eventually, with time, started figuring out, okay, if I'm afraid, it's just a signal from my brain. It's just a message telling me, like, be afraid because there's a threat there for you. But then with education, when I learned that a night of bad sleep will not do it will not do me any harm. Many people, I mean, mothers, fathers, people in all kinds of jobs go with nights without sleep. People in our program some people have recovered after 40 years of insomnia, right? So then I learned that, okay, I'll be fine without sleeping. Then started seeing, okay, my brain is giving me these, it's making me worry, it's making me ruminate, it's making me like giving me these bodily feelings, heart palpitations, the sweating, the restlessness, going to the bathroom every 30 minutes at night. Also, okay, I understand slowly started to understand what's going on there, right? It's just signals from the brain that I can start slowly trying to make myself understand that I'm safe. Okay, I might not sleep tonight, but I'm not gonna die. It's fine.
Mhm.
You don't have to
Mhm.
worry that I'm gonna die, brain. And this, of course, took weeks or months to get to a place where the brain was not immediately going to hyperarousal, because what happened most nights was that I also got performance anxiety. I would
Yeah.
get to 10 p.m., which was it still is my typical go to sleep time. I was like reading and just like falling asleep. And then I just put my head to the pillow, and suddenly I'm as
Wide
awake
awake.
as wide awake as it's, I don't know, 8 a.m. already.
Right. Houdini
And
effect.
yeah, the famous Houdini effect. It just eventually I started understanding that this came mostly from performance anxiety, which is I would put myself to bed and I was like, okay, now I have to sleep. Okay, let's. Am I falling asleep? Oh, oh no! Oh no! Come on! Oh no! Now I'm monitoring this, and then I'm monitoring the monitoring. No, okay, no, okay, and I'm conscious of all of this, and then this whole confusion. I mean, even if I already knew the education, this performance anxiety and this monitoring still lasted months, right? So,
Uh-huh. Yep.
and with this came also this, oh my God, I have to recover. This other person recovered in 6 months. What am I doing here? It's already 6 months past. Or in the beginning, I was like, chronic insomnia, it's 3 months, right? So if you go past 3 months, then you have chronic insomnia. I cannot have chronic insomnia. It's all this measuring of time and like holding that against yourself, just putting pressure on timelines. It's really,
So
really
not helpful.
harmful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so not helpful. Makes it so much worse because the pressure just grows.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Eventually, I mean, with time, I started to accepting. I tried, eventually I got to the point where I thought, if I can accept my situation a bit better every day, 1%, eventually this will start compounding. So even if I don't have a bad night of sleep, even if I don't like that I didn't have a bad night of sleep, I will always try to, I don't know, not cancel plans, just do it as much as I can. Even if I cannot go for a run. I do a lot of sports every day. I did sports every day. I went to work. I'm really happy that I didn't quit my job, quit my marriage, quit doing sports, because all
Right.
of those things came through my head. I thought I would never recover while I have to go to work. I thought I would never recover while I have to share my bed with my wife, because she snores, because she this, because she that. I also, for a while, I slept in the couch, and it was terrifying to go back to bed, but it eventually worked out. And I thought also I couldn't recover if I wouldn't get rid of this, and that. And of course, if I have done any of that, my insomnia might have lasted twice as long or much longer, because then I would have be under control of insomnia. The insomnia would have taken control of my life, and now I gave up everything
Yeah.
for it. And now I have to recover, not having a job or not having a wife. I don't know. And the only thing I have to do all day is think about sleep. I'm really happy I didn't get to that place, because that was my instinct, right? And I think what the instinct of many people is just they want to get rid of everything and focus on recovering from insomnia. But if I would have to advise someone, is like, don't cancel anything. Just go through it. Go through the punches. Like, you might feel like a
Yeah.
punching bag, but it's better to
But
feel like that than to give up your whole life for insomnia. Because, I mean, what if you quit your job? Okay, you quit your job, and let's say you recover from insomnia. Then you have to go back to work. Then what do you think is going to happen? Insomnia will come back, because you were going to go back to a situation where you had insomnia.
right.
So I think it's really
Yeah.
important to really. I mean, I also had, for example, I do half marathons and triathlon, and I had them already booked before the insomnia started. So I was thinking, no, I know what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm surely not going to sleep, because the night before I'm going to be under so much pressure. And I didn't sleep. Indeed, I did not sleep before the half marathon. I didn't sleep before the trial, but I went and I did them. I didn't win. Of course, I was never gonna try to win. I finished them, and I was so proud of it. I was so proud that the
Yeah.
Insomnia didn't win that day. I was so proud that I could go and do my best, even if it was not like the performance of the century. I was so happy I could do that. I was so happy that, yeah,
Yeah, that
it
takes
gave
so
me,
much courage, right? To go
yeah,
and live our lives in spite of what's happening at
yeah.
nighttime, right? We're like, I'm not, that's so empowering. Like being proud of yourself for that. I totally get that feeling. I had that experience too. And it was like, it was a pivotal point in recovery. And I think it probably was for you too, because when we take our power back from that experience of insomnia, it feels so good. Like, okay, I can handle this. I can do this. You know, it's really empowering, and it does require the courage, which is why we always talk about this, you know, balance between the courage and self-kindness. But so, so good to hear
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it just gave me so much wind after that. Of course, I wasn't recover after that, but it just I knew that I could withstand much more than did before. Because
Right.
before insomnia, I didn't know that I could not sleep and go and run for 2 hours, right? Then I knew, okay, I mean, even if I don't sleep, I can go and do sports. Then I never skipped a training day anymore, or most days I did not skip. Even if I had a bad night of sleep, I still went to the gym or went for my run. Even if I was feeling terrible, feeling tired, feeling sleepy, I knew I could do it, and I knew that would help me. Because, yeah, it just anything, any ground I would see to insomnia, I think would have been worse, right?
Right,
And
because
that,
it's just confirmation to the brain that this is indeed a dangerous situation and all hands have to be on deck, right? And so that
yeah,
it doesn't do anything to help that hyperarousal, it just increases it when we give
yeah,
up living, when we stop living our lives.
yeah. And the
Yeah,
same with work. I mean, I have an office job, but still I have to manage a lot of people. I carried a lot of shame with it, in the sense of everyone will think I didn't sleep tonight, or everyone will look, I'm tired, everyone will think I'm stupid, I cannot think. Eventually, I mean, no one noticed. Like, the whole time, no one mentioned that I looked tired, no one mentioned that something was going on. I casually mentioned that to someone. Oh, actually, this past 6 months, I was not doing so well. Oh, I didn't notice, really. Like, you look so fine. I mean,
yeah,
it was all in my head, all of like, you have to quit work, you have to stop working because people noticed. It's a shame, like, you look at yourself. It's all like the brain looking for the worst case scenarios and catastrophizing. And I'm so happy I
100%.
didn't listen to that, and I just kept going.
Yeah, yeah. It is such an experience. It's such an internal experience, and we think that everybody around us knows what's going on, or they can see that we look tired, and no, we look the same.
Yeah,
Nobody can tell unless we tell them. And it's so interesting when I did bring it up to people, it was amazing how many people would say, "Oh, I have trouble sleeping." And
yeah,
that kind of helped dial down some of my. I felt guilty, shameful, those, and I don't know that we talk about those emotions so much in, sometimes when we're talking about insomnia, but I think they're really common. I think it's really common to feel like embarrassed and ashamed, like it's kind of this, what's wrong with me? Everybody else can sleep. It's just me, it's such a
yeah.
isolating experience, but it's not true.
It's not
There's
true at
so
all.
many people, I mean, I think the latest statistic is like 1 in 6 people will experience insomnia at some point in their lifetime. So it's like, oh no, it's a lot of us. And we're not alone, and there is a community, and there is a way out, and it's through, of course, because the way out is always through. But yeah, this is so great talking with you, and especially having worked with you in the insomnia program. And gosh, I'm really excited that I get to work with you as a coach in the
Yeah,
sleep coach school.
yeah, yeah. I'm also really. I mean, of course, I'm very happy to have found this program because I mean, I'm in a much better place. I am. You hear that from every person in the in the in these videos, but I'm in a much better place today than I was before insomnia started. And I have so much more knowledge of my body, so much more knowledge of how my brain works, and also the most important is that I stopped protecting sleep, which
Yeah,
was a big drag in my life. That I was such a control freak around sleep, and I was canceling so many plans just to be able to sleep, and I had a really unhealthy relationship with sleep my whole life. I thought I couldn't skip 1 hour of sleep, which at the moment now I really don't care. I don't have any sleep routine anymore. Besides, I mean, I still keep to some, maybe not looking at the clock or having this 1 hour of wind down period, but like, of course, all the sleep efforts are gone, and I don't meditate before going to bed. I don't do anything
yeah,
anymore. And the past years, it really were. I think I didn't really have a good relationship with sleep, which I think at the moment feels much better. Like if I experience a bad night, it's okay because I know what to expect as well. Also, I mean, something that people might also feel during this whole process, that the more they go through sleep bumps, the more bad nights they have. I mean, the response to those bad nights matter a lot, because what kept me in the struggle for a long time, or what kept the struggle the worst, was me beating myself up the next day and thinking, this is terrible, this is the worst, this is the worst experience of my life, terrible, how can I survive, how can I sleep? Once I changed from that to, okay, I had a bad night, it's not terrible, I'm gonna survive, it's not a big deal, things dramatically changed. Like the
yeah,
way, because then I could still have a good day and not think about sleep 24 the next 16 hours, right?
right.
And now it leads me to now, if I had, I mean, I haven't had a bad night in a long time, but if I have one now, I really won't care.
Yeah,
And that's something that I would uh, maybe tell everyone, which I think it's maybe terrible advice, or maybe you will feel if you hear this terrible advice, but it's just like, it really doesn't matter. Like, take it easy. It's just a bad night of
yeah,
sleep. It's really not a big deal. And in the beginning of my struggle, I thought it was such a big deal to have skip a night of sleep. I thought it was the worst thing ever. It really is not. Like, it's just like you're just tired. There's nothing
yeah,
to it. Tiredness cannot hurt you. It's just a feeling. It's fatigue feels bad, but it's not bad in itself. It cannot hurt you. And everyone
right.
experiences fatigue one way or another, once a few times in their life. I mean, all the time people experience fatigue, right? Most people don't sleep well every night of the month, right? People travel, people have kids, there's trouble outside, you have to take, I don't know, a medicine that disrupts your sleep. No one is sleeping well every night of the month, I
Yeah,
would say. So it's really not a big deal to skip one night. What really bothers people in insomnia is thinking that it's so bad to not sleep. It's so bad to
Yeah, it's
skip a
the
few hours of
emotional hangover of it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that emotional part. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
get so many people in the community asking and saying, even now in the program, I have, had to comment the other day, how do I not care? Yeah, I hear this all the time, like I just don't care anymore. And I think, at least for me, and I can kind of speak for me myself, but I do think it's just a human preference that we sleep well. We're all going to always prefer to sleep well, but when we go through recovery, what I feel now is just a neutralness about it. Like it's not that I don't care. I have a preference for sure,
Yeah.
but it doesn't stop me. It doesn't hold me up. I don't have any emotional attachment anymore. I'm sure I prefer that, but it's just a preference, and I'm going to be okay either way, right? We all have preferences, and
Yeah.
that's just human nature, and we're all human, and so we're all going to prefer to sleep well. But when we lose that emotional attachment, when it's not that heaviness, right, then coming with us the next day, it just becomes less important. Like you said, it's just not that big of a deal, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay. And then it really moves into that space where it's more sleep disruption, not
Mhm.
insomnia. We all
Yeah.
have sleep disruption. Human beings are going to have sleep disruption. It's part of being human, but we don't have an emotional reaction to it anymore. We don't get a great
Mhm.
night's sleep, like you're explaining. Now it's just like whatever. It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And that is just normal human, right? Sleep disruption. So I feel the same way about it. That's how it is for me now. I don't have an emotional reaction. It just
It's
is what it
great.
is. And I get on with the day, right? I can always have
And
my
I think what's really
preferences.
yeah, sorry. And I think what's really important there is really to maybe it was something I didn't, well, it's the most used maybe topic, but we didn't mention it, which is the befriending wakefulness, right? Because
Yeah,
at least at the moment, I know if I cannot sleep due to, I don't know, some stress at work, I'm not, I don't have, as you said, I don't have this such a strong emotional reaction to being awake because I know I can just lay there and chill, or I can read my book, or I can, I don't know,
yeah,
go watch something. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I don't have so much time to watch TV anymore, or sometimes I'm very behind in my books. Well, it just gives me a chance to catch up, and then eventually I'll get sleepy again. So
yeah,
if I cannot sleep, there's really not this emotional component anymore because I befriended wakefulness that
yeah.
I know, okay, I
You're,
have things I like to do that I can still do, and
yeah,
it's fine. Maybe this night I won't sleep 8 hours, whatever. Uh,
yes.
I've done so much with much less sleep, so I know that I will survive next day.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point. It's like that befriending wakefulness concept. I always say we don't ever have to like it, right, to heal it, but it really becomes we're more tolerant, we're less bothered, and we're just less scared. And all of that emotion of fear is what's creating the hyperarousal. So when we're just less bothered and less scared, and this happens over time, and
Yeah,
being awake, and that hyperarousal slowly comes down as we show the brain we're okay by doing whatever we want, reading our book, watching a program, do whatever we decide to do.
yeah,
And it's one of those things that definitely takes time and it takes some courage, but it is again an empowering thing when it's not holding us hostage, this concept that
mm,
sleep holds all the power, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So good to talk to you, Tiago. So just kind of our closing questions, and anything you want to add on, please do.
yeah.
You're so insightful. If you could go back, to yourself when you were really in the midst of it, really struggling, what would be some words of wisdom or something you might tell yourself at that point?
Mm. Um, I think I mean we touched a bit upon that. I think what made myself do the first quantum leap in recovery was the education, was just learning what causes sleep. So learning about the gas and brake model and the befriending wakefulness, because a lot of I think why I was in the deep struggle was the ignorance of what was happening to me. So just knowing that what causes sleep and what causes me not to sleep just will help me to get rid of all the sleep efforts, right? I think that was the first quantum leap, and when we call living the Oz land, I think we call it here in the coaching school. I mean, besides that, if I would go back and just give myself a hug, because I was like so, yeah, I was so critical of myself. I had really no self-kindness to myself. That was also what kept me in the struggle for longer than it needed, was that I was not accepting my circumstances. I was criticizing myself for being there, not thinking much of myself, like wanting to recover fast and not be there. But in the end, I think, yeah, I wish I would have had someone to, of course, to go through that experience, and that's great. That's why it's great we have this immunity program that you can relate to other people at the same time. I think that was what I would do, to what I would tell myself back then. Maybe just giving myself a bit of encouragement, a bit of self-love, and yeah, the opportunity to meet other people who are going through the same at the same time. Because normally your peers, your family, your spouse, they really don't understand that. They think I don't know, you're just exaggerating. They think you're yeah, they don't believe that someone cannot sleep for the whole night, right? Most people wouldn't think that it's possible to
Yeah.
to go through a blank night, right? So
Yeah.
there's
They
not
don't know.
there's really little empathy to coming from other people,
Yeah.
which,
If you
yeah,
haven't been through it, you really can't quite understand. It's true. And I really love that what you said, because I think that self-kindness, that self-compassion, and just giving yourself a hug, you know, I can fully relate to that. That self-kindness piece came later in my recovery journey. It's kind of the missing piece. I didn't quite understand how I was so hard on myself, and it showed itself as I recovered, but it was life changing when I realized how critical I was on myself. So that's such a big one. I hope
yeah,
that, you know, the community can really hear that. It's like, yeah, you be nice to yourself, you know,
yeah,
go easy. This is difficult stuff. And if you can, the more self-love and self-compassion we can find, um, is going to be really helpful.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And the last question I'll ask is, you know, at this point in your recovery journey, would you say that your recovery has affected, influenced, had ripple effects into other areas of your life? Have there been some silver linings for you?
Yeah, I mean, I said, I also mentioned that in one of the coaching calls, that I like myself as a person much better today than I did a year ago. I
Mm,
understand anxiety much better. I understand what anxiety does to my body, so I can recognize it and de-escalate it much faster. I know what triggers my anxiety. I know that might come from a a response to child trauma or something like that. That was my way of um, maybe to cope with things that were going around me back then, and now I still use it as an adult. But that doesn't serve me right. Maybe it's a poor uh, way of dealing. It's a strategy that worked maybe at a point, maybe when I was a child, that now it doesn't serve me, and I keep using it unconsciously. And I think that's for me, just the learning of that. The whole anxiety mechanisms were very important. Also, the part of just being present, right? To knowing that you are not your own thoughts. Like, if you have thoughts of fear, if you have thoughts of I'm not going to sleep tonight, or what happens if I don't sleep tonight, you don't have to engage with those thoughts. They are not you. Like, it's not your. They're just, you can look at them as like leaves going down a river, and you don't have to follow the river. You can just stay at the shore and see them going through. Yeah,
yeah,
just being present and seeing the river passing by, of thoughts. I think that is very. I mean, this is a lot what is taught in the mindfulness and Buddhism, right? Just
yeah,
to observe your feelings, observe your thoughts, and let them go. Don't engage with them, because I mean, it's your brain. I mean, combining that with knowing that the brain is always looking for threats, you can just
Right.
recognize that and let it go. Like, okay, I'm not under threat. I'm fine, actually. Thanks for have told me that I'm under threat, but actually I'm not. I'm fine. Even if I don't sleep tonight, I don't care. So thanks for having brought that thought, but I don't want to engage with it. And that, of course, took a lot of months and a lot of sleepless nights to get to.
Yeah, I was
And
just
even
going to
though
say it's a practice, right? It takes
yeah,
some time to get there for sure.
and I've been practicing it for many months while I was also not sleeping. So it's even though you understand the concepts, they might not work just because, as I said, like emotionally, you're still not there. You're still afraid,
Yeah.
but at the moment, yeah, I'm in a much better place. I understand I understand what causes the emotions much better in my body. I understand what leads to these feelings of fear, and I know much better not to engage with them, not to
Yeah.
let those feelings or not those emotions lead to anxiety. Even if they do, okay, fine. I understand where is this coming from, and it doesn't matter that not just because I had a fearful thought doesn't mean that it will materialize, right? Because most of the time it's just the brain catastrophizing. It doesn't mean much. It's
Oh gosh,
99% of the time is wrong. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah. I love to say thoughts are not facts, right?
yeah,
They're just not. And when we are in an anxious mind, when we're in that space, when that anxiety and hyperarousal is really present, distorted thinking is part of that experience. So not believing every thought we have is
yeah,
can really serve us well, knowing that they're not true.
yeah,
So so well put. I appreciate you being willing to come on and share this story. It'll help so many of people in our
yeah.
community.
I
Such an
hope so
inspiring
too.
message. Yeah, truly. So just thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story with us. And yeah, if anybody out there needs more help and support on their journey, please know we're here for you at the Sleep Coach School, and you can find us at thesleepcoachschool.com. One-on-one sessions, our immunity program, and of course our BedTyme app. So thank you so much, Tiago. If you want to hang on for just 1 second, I'm going to stop our recording and come back and say goodbye to you. Okay. Thanks, community. Have a good day.
Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope you found the video you just saw full of inspirational content and full of educational content as well, because that's really what we try to do here in the school. We try to educate and inspire. And if you're finding that things are clicking for you and sleep is happening easier and you're leaving the struggle, please let us know in the comment section, because we live for that. We live for hearing how somebody is finding sleep and life becoming lighter and easier. And not only are you doing us a huge favor as sleep coaches and like filling our tank with that gas that makes us never want to stop doing this, but you're also helping the community. You're helping by inspiring other people, and by commenting, you're telling YouTube that this was interesting, and YouTube feeds our content to more people so that they can discover our teachings and things get easier for them. So again, if you found things getting easier for you, please let us know in the comment section. We can't wait to hear from you.